Hello there folks, welcome back to my YouTube channel, a place where I'm discussing different topics and sharing wisdom on spirituality, introspection, dream interpretation, game design and other topics that people might require a different interpretation on, while also reminding them not to take whatever I say for granted because it's part of my own experiences and my awakening journey as well. Now the point about words, okay, like I want to create a short or well, not necessarily short, but I'd like to create a list of videos in which I present which I call subtle English, okay, and try to have people understand the deeper meaning of words. Now for today it's gonna be spiritual journey, okay. Now this is actually a contrasting set of concepts because spiritual doesn't require movement. Whatever spiritual is called is that which is beyond the visible and, well, beyond the perceivable, that which cannot be seen with the five senses because the five senses are tainted with memory. They are tainted with remembrances, right? And all these are, just as I said, callings of the past. Life is all about programming, and I feel that, well, I've been drawn slowly and surely towards programming just because, well, it kind of is similar to the coding that allows life to exist. And more specifically, I've been drawn to JavaScript mostly because the mind seems to function similar to JavaScript. So I can say JavaScript chose me, not I chose JavaScript, okay? And I was chosen by the platform that I so-called decided to follow my game design developments, right? This game designer journey, so to speak. Okay, now the point about spiritual journey, okay, the spiritual journey is a very awesome illusion, okay, because people that oftentimes have the impression that they're actually moving somewhere. A journey is something that requires a movement from a point to another, right? At least one step you have to make, right? Spiritual means turning your eyes from the outside into the inside, right? It means detaching yourself from your senses because in order to fully experience the physical part of this universe, you need memory because the mind requires to simply classify things, right? The moment you turn inwards, you'll feel beyond those aspects that you see. You'll see that a tree is not entirely a tree, okay? Now the point is, you create this meaning within you. Check my previous two videos, in which I present the idea of, any idea that you create in your mind is like you create a little deity, and then you create these personas, right? These personifications of yourself, which are much smaller parts of you, right? And these little parts of you are like worshippers, okay, praising that idea. But this does nothing else than chain that idea because that idea will seek to become true, will seek to become pure, okay? If it cannot become manifested through action, which most philosophers kind of won't achieve, right? Because philosophy is about exploring certain ideas, but you kind of never manifest that through action, because if you explore certain ideas, do take the so-called trip, okay, journey within, and you will see that the more you go within, you'll realize that those things that you see and hear, they're not exactly as they look. The reason why you see everything around is because everything that you see around reflects light, and the visual sensors that we have allow to pick up light in a certain way. Another person may perceive it in a definitely other way, right? A certain object may be red or whatever color for the masses because we have collectively agreed that that color is red, but everyone will perceive a different nuance of that color. So the point is, the more introspective you become, you'll see once you start opening your internal senses, okay, those that are not taintable with memory, you will see that the other things will be perceived differently. Once I was capable of perceiving in the 5D several times, and it's very amusing that, for example, the blanket I had on me, I could feel it physically, but there was literally no visual of it. Okay, I knew it was on me. I knew that I was also fully awake. I was still in the bed where I was, and I had fully physical sensations. I knew it was on me, but I knew my left hand, I raised it from my body, and I was actually feeling how I was pushing the blanket away, but I was seeing actually the wall of my room through the blanket because the blanket didn't exist. For many times when I reached that stance, okay, and well, I actually had many situations in which I woke up from the body and started wandering around, and funnily speaking, it always happened exactly in the place where I was, right? The point was, I could never see myself. I never saw my body lying there on, well, where it was, right? So the point is, I don't always sleep on beds, yes, but okay, that's a different aspect to it. So the point is, up to a certain moment, every time I had these astral travels, I can say, like detaching, conscious detaching from the body, like not becoming conscious of the fact that I got detached. Okay, I never would watch towards the place where my body was. I would look around. Even at work I had such situations, because my night shifts allow me to take some nap from time to time, and I stretch myself on a table because it's big, and being very spacious, I can actually do that. There's no one to annoy me, and well, it's also a little risk because things can happen, but if I have the possibility to take a nap, why not do it? So I preserve my health. And it happened that I had such events at work. I actually had more of those there than at home in a certain time frame. And I would look at the computers, for example, and I would still have that tingling sensation, that your eyes hurt, because I also shut the lights in the room, so after you wake up and you look at the monitor, your eyes kind of hurt. I actually had that sensation. And well, many other things. I even saw spiritual spiders, which are called to be more or less four-dimensional entities, okay, and they were not away from my legs. They were a bit biggy, I can say, but they engaged one another and then they died for some reason. And they seem to have the quite a realistic mechanic, I can say. And when they died, they actually did that thing that some insects actually do, right? They fell on their backs and their legs all became united in one single specific point, right? The tips of their legs, right? It is said, I only found one single source that says when two spiders engage one another and then they die, there was something positive about it, but I kind of forgot the meaning. So the point about the journey, okay, the spiritual journey is that there is no journey, okay? Journey means going from one place to another, which implies physicality. Becoming spiritual means becoming inward. You're moving, you're shifting away from, looking outside. You're shifting towards looking within. It's nothing else than, let's put it like a 180-degree turn, right? You're just sitting in place. Physically, non-physically, beyond physicality, dimensionally speaking, you're always going to be there at the same place. You're not going to move anywhere. You may have the sensation that you're making some progress, right? But making progress doesn't mean actually taking steps, because people give too much meaning to things and then they take things literally, right? Because you have this impression that you're making steps, so you're now turning this expression, right? You're taking steps, but you're not taking steps, you're not making steps, okay? These steps come by themselves, right? This spirituality is not something active. You are not spiritual, you are being spiritual, okay? Usually when you say that you are something, you are implying something. It is a belief, it is a meaning. And implying something means that you believe in that and that you are actually not necessarily enforcing it, but you are doing it instead of being it, right? You are not a human being, right? You are a human doing. That's the point. The problem with most people is that they are doing humanity instead of being humanity, right? You are not doing a human, okay? You are being a human because, well, you are having an experience. You are supposed to experience things. The moment you give meaning to things, you suddenly become like, doing that, because in order to give a meaning, you are doing something, right? In order to perceive something, you don't need a meaning, because perception is beyond the mind, right? Sure, there is physical perception, of course, but spiritual perception goes beyond the mind, because in order to perceive spiritually, you need to feel beyond the control of the mind, right? In order to start spirituality, you need to move beyond 500 hertz, where love vibration actually starts, and you're starting to slowly move into 5 to 8 hertz, the vibration of the heart, right? That's where spirituality technically starts. That's where your senses are starting to fade away, okay? Up till your Vishuddhi, where your senses kind of become almost useless, because once you open your Vishuddhi, you will receive a lot of information, you will see a lot of things that you won't perceive with your natural senses. And when you reach the level of the third eye, that's where your mind and all your senses are technically useless, because you won't be needing those anymore in there, right? That is why people who have their third eye open will always have this sense, not the will, not the urge, okay, will have this way, okay, of making even the brightest people fall to their knees in front of them, right? And again, it's not an aspect of domination, it's not something that they want to do, okay? It's just how things go, right? Many people who are geniuses, they are geniuses because they have developed their mind a lot. But when someone has their third eye open, they know things and they have access to some things that will make even the greatest minds, even the most ingenious people will look like fools around you, because you cannot simply comprehend the complexity of the third eye with your mind, just like you can simply not comprehend what life is. But people are still struggling to give meaning to life, to give meaning to things which are beyond the mind. Hence why their life will be miserable, because doing things that stray you away from your authenticity, will make your life miserable. That misery is not there as a punishment, it's there to remind you or signal you that you're not doing the right thing. Instead of going towards the shore, right, you're pointing your ship towards the storm more and more. So all this being said, hopefully you like this video as well, and well, feel free to like and subscribe if you like the type of content that I'm creating. Feel free to ask me questions in the comment sections below, and feel free to guide people towards my account. Feel free to share some of the wisdom you have, and try not to present those things from the point of the mind, okay? The mind is something that no longer intrigues or attracts me that much. Sure, I'm not gonna ditch it because it is a fully functional part of myself, but okay, I was actually told that I had psychedelic experiences, and yes, I've had experiences beyond the physicality, but I do not take any drugs or stimulators that would do that, just to make it sure people won't stray into believing this, because belief is nothing else than accepting something without a necessity for proof. All this being said, become more introspective, take care of yourself, you are loved and appreciated. Ferenc Board signing out.